pulling in viewers and raking in the dough through any means necessary has long been a part of media and advertising. And that has only ramped up in the age of social media.
I mean, we might have to hack the hate.
Hack the hate?
While rage bait continues to be lucrative in some sectors, taking a look at some recent events, it appears that its effectiveness might be waning when it comes to traditional media. So let's take a look at why this all press is good press outlook was a part of the media for so long. And then we'll look at recent cases like Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad that signal that things might be shifting in a different direction. All press is good press is the idea that getting your name or creation out there in a big way is so important that it's worth getting any kind of press, even if it's negative.
There is no such thing as bad press, Eddie.
Brand strategy professor Jonathan A.J. Wilson explained to NBC News, controversy grabs attention and puts you at the front of people's minds. It splits crowds and forces people to have a decision when otherwise they probably wouldn't care. That can lead to disproportionate publicity, which could be converted into sales.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not.
It gets the people going.
How this strategy plays out changes across mediums and sectors. In some, like social media and politics, it has continued to increase in recent years as the all-controlling algorithm has become the singular point of focus for so many hoping to achieve notoriety in those areas.
Fame equals money. I told you I wanted to be famous.
And because the algorithms of most of the major social media sites seem to favor negative interactions, because it keeps people more engaged and locked in for longer, that's the direction so many of the people creating content for those sectors across the board choose to go in.
They're not all crypto-fascists and right-wing nut jobs. We also have some venture capital Dems and centrist schools. Dad's ideological range was wide.
While this all press is good press mentality has certainly long been a part of traditional media, print, advertising, film, television, etc., its success has always been hit or miss. There have been times when just the right bad press has paid off in a big way.
Because that's going to make people say, I'm going. They're going to want to see just how coarse, rude, crude, and vulgar Dolomite is.
But also plenty of occasions where it backfired spectacularly. First, let's dive into some of the times when it really worked to get a better understanding of why people hold so tightly to the idea that bad press could be their big win. Both on screen and in real life, we're inundated with examples of success seemingly being born out of negative reactions. Take The Wolf of Wall Street, where Jordan is upset at how terribly a magazine interview frames him. He fears that it will spell the end of his budding success. But, as his wife points out, that bad press might not be such a bad thing in the end.
A total hatchet job.
There is no such thing as bad publicity. You look great. You're in a huge magazine.
And she's right. The article leads to people swarming to apply to work for Jordan, allowing him to take his business to the next level. On Arrested Development, Maybe is tasked with turning a scandalous movie into a hit. Because she's had to cut it down so much to even get it shown in theaters, she fears no one will actually care to show up. But then, Anne spearheads a protest against the movie, which immediately draws interest and turns it into a hit.
It's a disgusting movie about cousins who are into each other.
Are there any more seats?
Oh no, we're making it worse.
Real-life examples go back to before we even really had press of any kind. All the way back in 356 BCE, for example, it's claimed that a guy named Herostratus burned down the Second Temple of Artemis just to get his name immortalized in the history books forever. And we're still talking about him over 2,000 years later, so he wasn't wrong. In more modern times, many people who felt they couldn't get the stardom they wanted through exclusively positive press have also become unafraid to lean into the negative here and there in the hope of getting their name in the papers and propelling their career forward.
What's going to do for our profile to hire its most notorious criminal?
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Jane Mansfield was great at this. After struggling to become an actress for years, she realized that she got a lot more attention if she played into the dumb blonde bombshell trope.
Leave and walk out on all this publicity?
She constantly set up publicity stunts, ones that often saw some part of her clothing popping off or falling down, and while some found them grating, they did indeed get her name out there. You can check out our full video on Jane to learn more about the truth behind her persona and how she built her career.
I feel that there's a time and place for everything.
This kind of building a career on scandal and provocativeness also brings to mind the Kardashian family. Initially, the Kardashians were only tangentially connected to fame through patriarch Robert Kardashian's friendship with O.J. Simpson, and then second eldest daughter Kim's friendship with Paris Hilton. But when Kim's private tape with Brandy's brother Ray J leaked, momager Kris saw a chance to really put Kim, and by proxy the rest of the family, in the spotlight.
As her mother, I wanted to kill her. But as her manager, I knew that I had a job to do.
The family has then spent the following nearly 2 decades doing anything to keep their names in the press, even if that means leaning into or even making up negative stories about themselves. This belief in all press being good press allowed them to build an allegedly billion-dollar empire. These tactics can find success when promoting specific projects as well. Take the CW promoting the first season of Gossip Girl with risque posters featuring negative reviews about how raunchy and terrible the show was, which of course only led to more interest from the show's actual target audience.
That's the point. You're no one until you're talked about.
More recently, there was Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell's pretend affair to promote their rom-com Anyone But You. The film did do incredibly well at the box office, but that seemed to be more in spite of the scandalous promo than because of it. In fact, by the time the film actually dropped, many who had been excited about it had already grown weary of the antics. And at least in the traditional media sphere, this is a response we've started to see more and more in recent years. As rage bait and seeking out negative engagement has become an ever-growing trend online, it seems to have started to become less effective to promote stars and their music, films, and TV shows offline.
Well, all press is good press.
No, this was bad press.
Think back to Game of Thrones, for example, and how obsessed the showrunners were with subverting expectations, even at the expense of the story. While their big swings might have initially driven conversation around the show and brought in more eyes, by the final season, things had so totally fallen apart that even people who had been dedicated fans up to that point could barely stand to stick around.
And are you happy with how things ended?
Yeah. Best season ever!
As we discussed in a video a while back, Sabrina Carpenter came under fire from critics when she dropped the cover and title for her new album, Man's Best Friend. Many found the cover to be degrading, but a number of commenters began to wonder if that was the point, that it was all just an attempt to drum up extra press for the album by sparking a little anger. It backfired, as no one, not even her own fans, seemed to find the attempt at satire funny. And it opened up a larger conversation around some problems people had with Sabrina's lyrics and stage persona. Instead of digging in her heels, however, Sabrina changed course and released a new cover.
We have to give the people what they want.
Only time will tell if it's all blown over or if that larger conversation the controversy kicked up will have longer-lasting effects. Of course, a major factor in how successful or not attempts at modern outrage marketing are is who the intended audience is.
It's been shared 32,000 times.
Well, all press is good press, right?
You might want to watch it first.
If you're aiming for people who do enjoy constantly surrounding themselves with things that make them angry because it's the only way they can feel anything, this can certainly still be a lucrative avenue. But for others, especially people who are just trying to support someone they're a fan of or find something new to watch, the utility of negative shock value driving interest seems to be waning. While everyone loves a good bit of drama now and then, constant controversy has become boring. We're all trapped in a battle against algorithms designed to feed us bad news and keep us in engagement loops based on rage and fear.
This is really bad.
Could be cool.
It could be cool.
It could really be turning into a moment.
I think that's why I'm so excited about these atrocities.
So it's not a surprise that many people have started to burn out on that being used to also try to get us to buy things. Elf Cosmetics was recently in hot water thanks to their choice to put comedian Matt Rife, a guy who joked about domestic violence and specifically said he didn't want to pander his career to women, in an ad for the company. The company posted a non-apology about how they missed the mark, but many fans are still unhappy about this apparent attempt to spark controversy to drive conversation around the brand. Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney has been at the center of a number of attempts at turning outrage into dollar signs in recent years, from the Anyone But You promo to her bathwater soap, and now, most recently, her American Eagles jeans ad. While Sweeney first gained many female fans from her roles in The Handmaid's Tale and Sharp Objects, as her star grew with the success of Euphoria, it seemed that she was interested in focusing on building up her male audience. It was always framed as business smarts, that she knew what sells in Hollywood, and so she was going to make sure she was the one cashing the check.
It's a business transaction.
But in light of her recent issues, it seems less like business acumen and more like she just genuinely might not want to keep around a certain subset of her audience. In response to the bathwater soap backlash, she just said that it was mainly the girls making comments about it, then attempting to equate people making jokes about Jacob Elordi's bathwater in the film Saltburn with her actually marketing a real product. She also ran into trouble with her recent American Eagle ad, a knockoff of the Brooke Shields ad from the 80s.
Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual,
but changed to center the focus around a much more specific set of genes.
My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
There was immediate pushback to the ad, followed, of course, by people claiming that anyone that had a problem with it is just overreacting. But in the larger context of everything that's happening in our current moment, it does feel very pointed. Overall, the ad seems destined to be B-roll for some future documentary about how all of this was normalized. There was a slight bump in American Eagle stock price as people talked about the ad, but it has overall continued to tumble. While Sweeney initially seemed to be attempting a Mansfield-esque role in Hollywood as the secretly brainy busty blonde,
I'm gonna go to college for business. And so that way when I go to school for business and I get a contract for $20 million, I can read that contract myself and not get f***ed over.
her shifts to focus on seemingly exclusively negative controversy to drive interest don't actually seem to have driven that much interest in the products she's hawking or her actual job, acting. She had 2 films released recently, and both flopped. Of course, she's not the only person in or creating these films, so it's not like their failure rests solely on her shoulders. But with her apparent long-term interest in keeping her name in the press via any means necessary, even if it's nearly wholly negative, it's surprising that seemingly didn't help bring in any viewers, even those who might only seek to support her solely because she ruffled other people's feathers. There are other sides to the all press is good press equation. For example, when bad press comes when you're not seeking it out, and you just have to roll with the punches and hope you come out on top, and maybe it gives you a little notoriety boost in the end.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so humiliated.
Yeah, but you know what they say, Mon? There is no such thing as bad press.
Take Ariana Grande and the controversy around her relationship with Wicked co-star Ethan Slater. It could have engulfed the entire promo tour. But they kept mum, and in the end, it didn't seem to hurt the film's success or audience enjoyment of Ariana as Glinda. Or the recent kerfuffle between Variety and Friday Night Lights star Kyle Chandler's daughter Sydney. As the star of the new Alien TV show, she was set to do a cover shoot and interview for Variety with the show's creator and her co-star Timothy Olyphant. She backed out at the last minute, changing her reasoning a few times before eventually saying she just felt uncomfortable doing something like that. She ended up not on the cover, and much of the story didn't shine a particularly bright light on her professionalism. But in the end, it hasn't kept people from enjoying her in the role, or the show itself from finding its audience. A while back, musician Chapel Roan asked her fans to not stalk and harass her in public.
I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. That does not make it okay.
And unfortunately, as is often the case, this attempt to set boundaries with fans was met with intense pushback and a media storm about if she should really be a star. The media blitz did likely get her name out to new people that hadn't previously heard of her, and thankfully hasn't derailed her career. There's also another side to all press is good press. It can be used deliberately to get wide dissemination for a message that would otherwise be suppressed. In this case, the outrage that fans it is from the powers that be who are trying to suppress it. But in talking up how oh so terrible it is, they end up spreading the idea out more widely to people who begin to realize that it does sound like a pretty good idea, actually. We can see this with Pedro Pascal, for example, using both his existing platform and the extra press brought on by the ridiculous hate campaign against him to continue to loudly and proudly stand up for his beliefs. In a world where it now seems nearly impossible to escape negative news and people attempting to make bank through angering others, many people are just tired of dealing with that kind of promotion. Even the curiosity to see if something or someone is really worth being angry about doesn't seem to be enough to pull people in anymore.
Everyone is laughing at me.
Well, they say all press is good press, Baroness.
Our wallets have tightened so much, and our attention is pulled in so many directions. We don't really have the money, time, or care to spend on things or people who only seem interested in making us unhappy.
No such thing as bad press, right?
My integrity just allows me to agree with that statement.
Even in the social media sphere where rage can definitely still pull in the big bucks, many people are growing tired of it and choosing to ignore it or even straight up block the people peddling it. Instead of focusing on petty attempts to enrage us for profit, we can spend our time and money supporting people in projects that are actually aiming to have a positive impact, or at least to make something actually entertaining.
That's the take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.